Are we gonna have a problem? Don't trip over that wire. What up, nerds? My name is Leslie, this is Milo, and you are watching The Nerdy Narrative, a channel I created to have a place to talk about all of the things that I read. Today, I'm going to share with you the books that I plan to read for the month of June for the Shelf Space Magical Creatures Readathon. A little secret, these are books I already have planned, but they fit right into the prompts for the bingo board. The prompts were made so that it would easily fit in with books folks might already have planned to read for the month and eliminate the stress of trying to find a book. So here is the bingo board created for the Magical Creatures Readathon. I will go through each of the prompts. As far as the rules go, there are no teams. You're literally just participating for fun. There's no competition, there are no prizes. This is just a way for all of us to come together and have a little fun, talking about the prompts, talking about the books we read, and I will have the Shelf Space Discord linked in the description below so you can join in on the fun. So without further ado, let's go through each of these prompts, which are of course based on magical creatures, and we can talk about the books that I've selected. Excuse me, sir. I'm gonna have to put you down so I can pick up these books, because otherwise I'm probably gonna bonk you in the head, and I don't think you would appreciate that. And we'll let you go. The first prompt is Dragon. Read a book with fire on the cover or in the title. Now for me, this one is probably a stretch, but it works for me. I'm gonna allow it, but I'll slide it in close so you can see there is a candle at the top of this leaf, and this is Seasonal Fears, book 2 of Shauna Maguire's Alchemical Journeys series, which I still haven't gotten to because one thing led to another. I haven't read it yet. By golly, I am hoping like crazy that I get to read it this month. So going across the top, the next prompt is Cerberus, which is read a book that is part of a trilogy. Now this one I have pre-ordered. It hasn't arrived as of date of filming, but I will be reading Gwendy's Final Task. It is book 3 in Stephen King and Richard Chizmar's The Button Box trilogy. Book 1 was okay. Book 2 was a little bit better. Stephen King has always had a habit of referencing real life politics in his books, but lately, the last few books he's come out with, he's gotten to where he mentions it a whole lot more often, and I'm not interested. Mr. King, please quit beating that dead horse and just stick to telling us stories. Moving on to the next prompt, which is Cyclops. Read a standalone novel. And for this one, I've chosen ARC. I will be reading W.P. Wiles' The Last Blade Priest. This book will be released in July of 2022, so I want to get this one read this month so all of you will know whether or not this is one you might want to pick up or save for later. This is just the cover that's on the ARC. The actual cover that's going to be on the copy you get when it's published is so beautiful. Moving into the second row, the first prompt there on the left is Unicorn. Read a book that features a doctor or a healer. Now this is questionable, but I plan to read the first book in the Firefly novel series. This one is called Big Damn Hero. Now, I do not know if the doc is in this. I have seen the show, I've seen the movie. There is a doctor that is part of the crew, but I don't know if he shows up in book 1 or not because I haven't read it. So it may fit the prompt, it may not fit the prompt. We'll have to find out as I get started into reading it. I am so excited because I just absolutely love the Firefly series. I am still, after all these years, super salty that they canceled the show. Like, I'll never get over that. I just never will get over that. Next, we have the Hydra prompt. Read a book with a snake on the cover. And this is one of the prompts that I could not find a book for that was on my existing TBR, so I'm just gonna have to pass on this one. Next comes the Kraken. Read an intimidating book. Now, I do not have my actual copy of this book yet. It should be arriving at some point today, but I can show you one similar. The reason why I'm calling it an intimidating book is because it's massive. Now, the one I'm holding up here is The Arc of Speaking Bones by Ken Liu. The author was amazing enough to send me an ARC for book number 4 coming out next week, this week, June 7th. And so I thought, you know what? I might ought to get a move on and start this series. So I have a Grace of Kings that I'm going to use for this prompt. If I'm able to fit it in this month, it might get pushed to next month. But all of the books are just huge. But you know what? They're so floppy. The Dandelion Dynasty has been on my TBR for a very, very long time. I recently read Christopher Rucchio's Empire of Silence, and some of my friends compared the two series together as far as the way the story is told. So my goal is to read the first book, The Grace of Kings, and perhaps do a comparison video between the two series and books, but I'm very excited to finally dip into this series. The next prompt, Leprechaun. Read a book less than 300 pages. So for this one, I will be reading The Lake of the Dead by Andre, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. This is also the pick for the month of June for the Wine and Crime Book Club. If you're interested in joining us in this read along, I'll have my Discord linked down below. Follow the channels down until you see the Wine and Crime Book Club. I already have a channel set up for this one. We read the book together, we chat about it in Discord, and then at the end of the month, there's a live show, which I believe the date is June 25th. 1 p.m. on Saturday afternoon, we'll all come together and just talk about our ratings, our thoughts, our theories, whatever conspiracies that we may have formed while reading it, and just have a good old time. But since it weighs in at 187 pages, it completely satisfies the Leprechaun prompt. And then moving into the final row is Chimera, which is to read a genre blending book. Now, I will have to tell you if I agree. I looked it up. The Coward by Stephen Aryan has been described as a blend of science fiction and fantasy. As far as blends go, that is probably my top favorite blend. Underneath that is going to be anything combined with horror. I'm still riding the high that I was able to order one of the numbered sets that the Broken Binding is doing of this duology. And those of us that purchased the duology, we actually will be getting the second book, The Warrior, a month ahead of release time. So cheers to me finally reading my friend's work. And then the final prompt for this bingo board is Direwolf. Read a book with multiple POVs. The one I chose for that is The Empire of Gold, the third and final book of the David trilogy by S.A. Chakraborty. Because I've read the first two books and they were multi-POVs, I am assuming the third one will be as well. I cannot tell you how excited I am to read the conclusion of this story. This series has also awakened in me a desire to read more Middle Eastern fantasy. And it may be because S.A. Chakraborty did an amazing job in the first book. It's like she knew, you know what, there might be a lot of readers to read this who know nothing about our culture. How can I incorporate this? And it was not done in an info dumpy way. And she had different characters tell the history in different ways. And it was very confusing at first, but as I made my way through the book and the different people talked about the different things, I started retaining it and learning it. It's just been an absolutely wonderful time. I cannot wait to read more. I've added a ton more Middle Eastern inspired stories to my TBR, my want to read on Goodreads. If you know some, drop those down in the comments below so I can make sure I have them added to my list. So those are all of the books that I'll be reading for the Shelf Space Magical Creatures Readathon. I do have 3 more on my TBR for the month that I'll be reading on my Kindle or from my library. First up will be Ought to Be Dead by Scott Warren. Next on the list is The Cradle by Ron Sammy. This is one the author sent to me ages ago to read in exchange for an honest review, so I'm going to get that one taken care of. I love the cover. I think I might have to own this one physically. What do you guys think? Is that a great cover or what? And then the final book that I plan to read in June is my patron pick of the month. I spun the wheel of destiny. The wheel chose my patron Kate, and she picked An Alchemy of Mask and Mirrors by Curtis Craddock. And when Kate first chose the title, it wasn't one I was familiar with. I was researching it. I saw some of my favorite authors blurbing it, so I am extremely excited for this series. And then a couple of ongoing read-alongs that I'm still participating in. I'll be continuing my journey through Stephen King's Skeleton Crew, which is hosted by the Bookish Drummer. I'm going to have that information linked below. You can start at any time. They're short stories, so even if you haven't read the first 10 with us, if you want to hop in and do the last 10 and then go back and catch up later, you can. Other ongoing read-along is reading through Joan Didion's essays and We Tell Our Stories in Order to Live. This is hosted by the Literary Apothecary. Again, down below you can find the information to join. I need to catch up. I didn't read the one for May, so I'm gonna have to read the one for May. And for June, I've got a lot of reading to do, folks. I might have overloaded the old TBR for the month. We'll have to wait and see how it goes. Sometimes these books look big, but they're so good that you just fly through. Something else that has me really excited for this month of reads is all of these authors, except for a couple, are going to be new to me. I've only read Shauna Maguire, S.A. Chakraborty, Stephen King, and Richard Chizmar before. All these other books are completely new. I cannot wait to see the worlds that these authors build, discover what their storytelling style is like. So I'm going to wrap this up and get this edited, get it up on the channel so I can get to reading. What do you have planned for the month of June? Tell me what book you are most excited about, the first one you plan to start the month off. Drop the title down in the comments down below. Tell me why you're excited about it. Thank you all so much for watching. Again, if you would like to join in the Magical Creatures Readathon hosted by the Shelf Space Discord, I'll have that all linked down in the description below. For more information about all of the books that I talked about today, the authors, my thoughts as I journey through, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you catch all of the updates as I post them throughout the month. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.